Marijuana.
Blake Production.
We're going to break down some pot stocks. So what I see here is that this 1170, we're looking at canopy growth right now, by the way, the Canadian ticker WEED. So this 1164, 1169, that resistance is 100% in play. Now, in my opinion, we must hold this higher low at around 955. That has to be a hold, otherwise the trend is no longer intact. So you want to see us hold this range. We had the push up, high, higher low, higher high. We need to see here, are we going to come back and hold that range? Why we want to hold that is because if we don't, we're going to create a lower low compared to this, and the trend will still be funky, which could mean that this might need a lot more time for it to make that push higher. So depending on what the time frame of your trade is, it might be not so good, or it might be okay for you to gather more shares at a lower range. But as of right now, it's not looking so hot. I want to see us get a bounce pretty much like ASAP. Same thing with Hexo, right? We have this push up, we create some sort of a higher low compared to the previous one, and then we make a higher high, but we come right back to this previous higher low. We need to hold that. Otherwise, it's kind of not really intact anymore. So that's something I'll be paying attention to in the coming days for the rest of the week. The short weeks, we don't know what's going to happen, right? So it's very interesting how this short week will affect the market. Is it going to be a bullish reaction or bearish reaction? I think it'll be very telling to see, like, it'll give us a hint to what's going to happen in the coming weeks, in my opinion, if we get like an extreme bearish reaction this week or an extreme bullish reaction this week. So I want to see us hold this higher low 100%. Otherwise, it's not really intact anymore, and it might need a reset in order to get that real pop. Sndl, a lot of these names, right? I want to see it hold this zone. If Sndl can hold this range here, I think it has a decent case to, make a base and then get that curl back up higher, because we did move too quick too soon here. That one day alone was like a 20% trade, so it might need some time. This looks fairly decent in my opinion. We need to hold this 52-cent range on Sndl. Now the Msos, this was interesting. It gave us the warning with this one inverted hammer, 2 dojis, and no follow through. So we come further to the downside, and now we're looking like we're trying to back test and see if is this going to be our support. Is this going to be our support here? So it's very interesting to see. Overall, these names again could be setting up a lower high in the grand scheme of things. So that is important to kind of figure out, which is tough, especially in this type of market, because in this market right now it's tough. This is probably the hardest market since the 2020 like corona crash, right? So we want to see, can we hold this range and keep this trend, this shorter term trend, intact? So for those who might be getting a little bit confused, this is the change of trend, the shorter term change of trend. We need to see, are we going to hold it still, right? We could still be creating a higher low in this range and then we move higher, but that needs time. 100% needs time. But in the bigger picture, right, if you zoom out, there's still a downtrend. So we need to break out of that bigger trend in order to fully change, if that makes sense, the greater outlook of it. So it's going to take time. It's simple. It just takes time for this to develop. It won't happen within a day or a week or two. This has been happening for months. It might take a month or two to fully see, okay, now it's 100% changing. Oh, now things are going to get that major push. So I'm not too worried, but I still want to have my head on a swivel just for like both case scenarios here. GTII, it looks like that was set in, right? The $28 resistance. So again, clean push, pretty much no higher lows intact. I'm going to be watching the 20 EMA and the 8 EMA. Looks like we're holding the 8, which is good to see, but this 20, right, was our resistance for a while. If we can hold this 20 as support, that would be beautiful to see. This bullish divergence could be playing out right now. So again, if we create that higher low somewhere around this range, it would be a beautiful setup, because then it would prove to us that we are showing demand in the stock, because we're hanging around this $28 resistance closer and closer instead of getting that fully bearish reaction. So, and look at the bear volume here too. Very low bear volume matched with some wicks coming from the bottom. So GTII could be like an indicator of these US stocks that, you know, they're starting to get some strength. We might get a run into earnings on March 1st. That's something I want to be aware of. So overall, I think there's potential here, but I'd want to just be careful, right? Because there is heavy resistance above. Overall, though, this one probably looks the best out of all the pot stocks. And that would be our breakdown. Though I took out CBDT because that name's getting crushed. So we're going to absolutely ignore that from now on. But these are still very interesting. So that's the breakdown. Peace.